This is the 2020 Shimano Metanium MGL. I've really been fascinated with this reel ever since its counterpart, the 2016 Shimano Metanium MGL, came out about 6 years ago. Now fast forward to today, I finally have gotten my hands on one of these reels, that being the Metanium 20 MGL HG. So today I'm going to be unboxing it, doing a little review, going over all the features, and then giving my first impressions on is it really worth the money after using it for a little bit here. So let's get this box opened and let's get right into this video. Alright, we've got some pretty standard Shimano packaging right here. I really always liked how Shimano packages their reels. Nice matte gray color right there. But let's get this bad boy open and take a first look at this reel. When you open the box, you're going to have your reel, you're going to have some reel oil, directions, packaging, all that good stuff. Let's put that to the side for a second here and look at this reel. As you could tell, I've already spooled it up, I fished with it, I've casted it around, so I can kind of get a better understanding of how this reel compares to some of the other reels that I fished with. And the first thing you're really going to notice when taking this reel out of the box is its size. It is a pretty stark contrast to some of the other Shimano reels like the Corrado K, the DC, the Tranks, all with the same body. While those are really comfortable reels, easy to fish with, this has a much different profile. It's a much slimmer reel, it's much smaller. In my opinion, it fits much better in your hand, which is something I really was looking forward to when getting this reel. So let's get into some of the kind of basic features of this reel. This is the Shimano Metanium MGL, as I said. It's got the MGL 3 spool that's supposed to reduce spool inertia at the beginning of your cast by, I believe, 17% it is, which is quite a lot. And also, I do want to make it clear that this is the USDM model, the US domestic market model, not the JDM one. The few differences between those two reels, I think the JDM one has slightly different handles, and I believe the JDM one is also a 70 size spool when contrasted to the 150 on the American one. Alright, so let's get into a few more features on this reel. I have the 7.1:1 gear ratio, which is the HG version, as you can see right there. But I believe there's also the XG, which is an 8.1:1, and a 6.2:1, if I am correct about that. So a nice variety of gear ratios. I really do like that 7.1:1 because it's really good for all-around fishing. Maybe if you're dragging a Carolina rig, you want a 6.2:1. Maybe if you're fishing a topwater frog really fast on top of the water, you want an 8.1:1. But really a 7.1:1. It's in the middle, especially when you can't have a whole lot of combos, one combo for each individual application. It's good to get one that has a really standard gear ratio that's good for almost anything. Another thing you might notice when looking at this reel is the spool. And while I do have line on it, it's a little bit harder to see. This spool is the same size, I believe, as the Shimano Antares, which is the step up from the Metanium. It's, I think, a couple $100 more, which is really a lot of money, especially considering that this is one of their top-of-the-line baitcasters as well. But it does have that same spool. You're going to notice on the side, you've got the SVS Xfinity braking. That's your external dial. You also have the internal brakes. Basically, what this allows you to do is, without opening up the side plate of your reel like this, it's honestly pretty simple to open it up. I really do like the design on this, even over the Corrado DC and the Corrado K, which are other reels that I've used. It's really easy to get open. You've got your internal brakes there. I usually keep 2 on, 2 off, but depending on what I'm throwing, I'll change it up. But this SVX Xfinity braking system on the side, this is going to allow you to really fine-tune your baitcaster without opening up your reel. I have it on the 4th setting. I believe there are 6 settings on here. Basically, for lighter lures or different conditions, wind, different types of line, you can switch that up and throw different things on there. The next thing I want to talk about here is just the build of it itself. This is built out of magnesium, which is lighter, much more sensitive when you're fishing. It's going to last a lot longer. That's the one thing I really do like about these Shimano reels. You get one of them, they're going to last a long time. I've had a few Shimano reels for, 5-6 years now, and they still work completely fine. They might get a little less smooth, but the actual mechanics are not going to change a whole lot. And especially with this magnesium build, it's going to make it a little bit more sensitive while you're fishing. You're going to be able to feel, if you're fishing a Texas ring on the bottom, you're going to be able to feel that weight through the reel a little bit better, which really can make the difference, especially when these fish are biting super finicky. It's also going to last longer. It's much more durable, which is really cool. I believe this is the first time they put this on one of the Metanium versions, which is really nice. Alright, now that I think we've gone through all the specs, if I did forget anything, I'll make sure to put it in a pinned comment below or in the description of this video. Also, if you have any questions, make sure to comment it below on any of the specs of this reel. I have done a lot of research and I've used it just a little bit, so if you have any comments or concerns about this reel, make sure you leave it in the comment section below. That being said, let's get into what do I think about this reel after using it for a little bit, feeling it, how does it compare to some of the other reels I've used, and some of the other Shimano reels that I've used, those being the Corrado DC and the Corrado K. Two of Shimano's, not necessarily as high-end as the Metanium, but they're definitely up there, and they're really, really good reels. So, is this reel worth the money that you pay for it, essentially? And the one thing I can say is this reel is incredibly smooth. The smoothest reel that I've ever used has got to be the Corrado K. Despite the fact that the Corrado DC is slightly more expensive, I really do think that the K is slightly smoother. The DC is a better overall reel, but the smoothness of the K is really hard to beat. So when I put this out of the package, and I felt how smooth this reel actually is, I was really, really surprised and delighted, I guess you could say, to see how smooth this reel was, and even smoother than the Corrado K and the DC, which is what I thought to be really hard to beat. It is super smooth, like I said before, it fits super nicely in my hand. Nice smaller reel, especially since I have smaller hands, but I haven't heard any complaints from people with larger hands that this reel was too small to hold. Anyway, like I said, super smooth. I've casted this around a bit. Like I said, I can't say much about the longevity of this reel because I haven't used it a whole lot, but I have casted it around, gone fishing with it, felt it, and I can say that the magnesium spool, the sensitivity that you have with this, it is it feels a little bit different. It doesn't make a whole lot of a difference, but like you definitely can feel the sensitivity with this, especially when you pair it up with maybe a medium heavy or a medium action rod, even fishing something on the bottom like a Texas rig. But you can really feel that super smooth, fits nicely in the hand, really sensitive. Now, to my opinion on whether it is worth the price that is priced at, which is a pretty steep price, especially for something that you essentially cast out and retrieve line. And while I do think it is a lot better than the Corrado K and the DC, which is something I never thought I would say, I think it is worth the price. I mean, I have not used it a whole lot, but from the features you get on this reel, the MGL spool, the micro module gearing in there, the SVX Affinity brakes, the magnesium frame, and the 3 different gear ratios, that's pretty standard for most reels. But just the things you get for this, and for this not even to be Shimano's highest end reel, which I believe is the Antares, is pretty insane. It has a lot of those really high-end features, some things that in the past you really couldn't get on a reel like this, a low-profile bait casting reel. So I really do think that this reel is got to be one of the better reels that I've ever used, the best reel I've ever used. But even for the price, I think it's honestly really good. This is going to be a reel that I'm going to be fishing a ton this year. I'm going to be fishing a whole lot of different applications. In the spring, maybe pitching some jigs up shallow in the trees. Might even throw some moving baits on this top water. It's anything you can think of. I'm going to be putting this test, fluorocarbon mono braid, anything you can think. I'm going to be testing this. So maybe in a year or two, I'll come back and do a kind of review video on how this held up, and really, do I still think that this reel is so good, which I do think right now. So if you want to see that, make sure you comment that down below as well. But overall, I think this is a really, really good reel. Like I said, if I forgot any of the specs, I'll put them in the comments, a pinned comment or the description down below. So make sure to check that out. Ask any questions. Make sure you like the video if you enjoyed. If you learned anything from this, subscribe down below. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, guys. We're getting there slowly and steadily. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.